So the first thing you need to do is take a nice plastic trim tool, like the one I have here, and pry along the edge of this climate control panel to pull it off. All right, so once we have it off, it does pull off pretty easily. And we'll go ahead and lay it down like this. You can see there's a couple different, let me grab my tool here. You can see there's a couple different connections on the back here. These are all for the climate. There's 4 different ones here. Each one is a different size, so don't need to worry about which one goes where because they'll only fit into one when you put it back in. We're gonna go ahead and disconnect these 4 harnesses from the climate control. Oh, we'll take our little bezel out of the way here. Get these disconnected. They are kind of tough to get out sometimes. All right, so we'll set this out of the way. All right, the next thing we want to do is grab our Phillips head screwdriver. I got mine here, and there's 4 bolts around the bracket that holds the bracket to the vehicle and the head unit to the bracket. So get these out. Mine only has 3 because I'm missing one of the bolts here. All right. And then once we pull this out, so the JBL factory one will be very similar in size to this. It'll look pretty similar except for all these different wires on the back. But you'll be able to take the screws that come with the factory one and remove this bracket here from the factory one, but you want to save these so you can put the brackets onto the new head unit you get to be able to mount that back onto the vehicle. So the harness you're going to need to do this upgrade is the Metra 70-8113. That one specifically has these RCA cables that plug in for the left and right channels, and then this head unit here has imports or inputs for that, so you're going to want to make sure you get one that has RCA inputs for the speakers on here. And then we have one of our cables for radio. And then these other wires here, you can see what you're going to do is you're going to disconnect this part of the white cable from the factory unit and pull that off. And then you're going to order this piece, the Metra 70-8113. And this white piece here is going to come with these RCA cables and then the front end of these wires, and I'll show you how they connect to the actual head unit. The actual head unit, when you get a new one, comes with the harness here that plugs in the adapter. The harness setup looks like this. You have your Metra 70-8113, and that plugs into your Toyota factory harness here, right here like this. And then you have a couple of wires that come off the back of here. Your head unit's going to come with this part of the harness, which plugs into your actual new head unit. And you want to match up some of the wires here. The ones you want to make sure you match up are the yellow, which is the battery, 12 volt, and that's to keep things like the clock working. You know how when you disconnect your battery, the things like your clocks get reset and all that stuff. So that one keeps that live. The red one here is your ignition, 12 volt. So when you turn on the ignition, that's what knows how to start it up and power on your head unit. Your black one here is your chassis ground. And then the blue one here is your amplifier turn on. So that turns the amp on for you. And then, so we want to make sure those get connected. And then one other thing, actually, let's talk about these real quick. These are your 4 RCA cables. These are what's going to plug into the back of the head unit to give you your left and right speaker channels. So you don't need to wire those up here. You can wire them up with these RCA cables. There's 4 of them. The ones that you're not using here, you're going to want to put some electrical tape around them to keep them safe and protected. And then one other thing, there's other ones on here like the reverse one and the mute and cables for like the dimmer and stuff. I didn't need those, so I didn't worry about wiring them up. One more important thing to note here, a lot of the newer head units require you to be in park to access any kind of settings or display any video or media. And they actually want the parking brake to be engaged in order to prove that it's in park. And some of the newer units actually want to see it on, then off, and then on in a matter of like 2 seconds to prove that you actually are in park. So I have this device here for educational and demonstration purposes only. Do not try this. That's not a disclaimer. This device actually connects to that signal and tells it, it gives it an on signal to prove that it's in park, so we can access the settings menu while we're actually not in park, or the vehicle doesn't have the parking brake activated, because some people's parking brakes don't work, or the light's burnt out, or the connection doesn't work, whatever, right? So this device takes care of that for you, so you can still access the settings and access video content as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get our new head unit installed. We have our factory brackets attached to the side of the head unit. We have our USB cable plugged in for things like firmware updates or uploading photos to use as a background on the screen here, or just playing music. I have my cable running down so I can easily access it in the ashtray. We have our radio cable plugged in here. So go ahead and grab the Pioneer harness and plug that into the back of the head unit. Oh, let's see here. There we go. Then we'll plug in our RCA connections. So we have our purple, our green, and these are for our speakers. And then we'll have our gray and our white. And then the next thing, we just got to plug this harness into the Toyota side to get to the vehicle for things like the power, like we talked about. Then we'll get things kind of tucked away. Oh, something fell off. That's how things happen. Okay, so this cap fell off of our green connection here, so I'll just set this down. We'll get that reinstalled. Okay. Then we'll put this back up here, and we'll be careful to tuck these cables back up to get them out of the way. Sometimes it doesn't want to go in the first time, so we'll make sure we... This is honestly one of the hardest parts, just getting the cables out of the way. It doesn't seem to want to go. Okay. We have it in. Take our screws, put those back in. Remember, I only have 3 here, but you're going to have 4 you're going to put back in. We'll go ahead and turn the ignition on to make sure everything is working. You can see that things are powering up. So we'll go ahead and get our bezel back around here. Remember, this is for the Lexus versions. Great, so everything's working. And then we'll get our climate control plug back in. Remember, you can't get this one wrong, because they only fit in one each. Great. Put our bezel back up. And then we'll just pop the climate control back into place, just like so. Great. So like I mentioned earlier, I've had this installed for about 2 years now. The main reason I did it is because when I had the factory head unit in and the factory speakers, the audio quality was just so bad, the speakers were blown out. So I got the speakers replaced. They sound a little bit better, but the audio quality still wasn't really there. When I put the new head unit in, that's when I saw the most improvement in the sound quality and the highs and the lows and everything. The best benefits of this are having a nice touchscreen display here that looks modern, and having Bluetooth so you can connect your phone right to it. A lot of these older 2001, 2002 Land Cruisers, you can't do that from the factory. Obviously, the technology wasn't there when they came out. So hopefully you guys can do this job, upgrade yours. Let me know in the comments what kind of head unit you have in your vehicle. And thanks for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe for more videos.